Yeah, a couple of you did have questions, like what to expect on your first job and kind of what are you expecting, salary negotiations, all of these things. So I decided to host a webinar so all of you guys are able to get input from our different panelists from different years and their positions and see their point of view. So you can take some tricks and tips in your first job. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the first question. And so the first question, we're going to begin with Rahul. So Rahul, what steps did you take when applying and obtaining your first career position?
Well, while I was in school, I started to create my resume, started, think about what do I want to see myself. I found myself in the public sector and creating a very dynamic resume that really highlighted my skills and my accomplishments, and also put it on a digital format. So making sure I have it on my phone. I did a lot of online applications for CalGov and working for the county or state Cal careers, and really having that already on record. So whenever I am able, say, at a store, just in between time, I'm able to look for a job and quickly, apply for that position. And so I think that helped out a lot, as well as, I would be an analyst, I would track it and making sure, what sector I applied for and when. And so that way I can at least follow up with a contact. And so, yeah, just making sure I had that resume going, and it was on a digital format whenever I was needed, also paper, and just really kind of honing in what I wanted to be at. So I found myself wanting to work in the public sector, and so there's the city, the county, areas and sectors that you can apply for across the state, and just kind of help streamline the application process for the opportunities that I would be qualified for positions.
Perfect. Thank you, Rahul. We're going to go over to Juan.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Juan Fonseca. I'm an academic counselor for the Renaissance College program at Fresno State. And I earned my degrees here at Fresno State. Both my bachelor's, I earned two bachelor's in history and Chicano studies. And then I moved on to my master's here in student affairs and college counseling. So my efforts, I think, obtaining my first full-time job here, I would talk to my employers. I would talk to who I was working with at that time. So mainly I was doing part-time. I was doing student assistant positions on campus or off campus. I was working in K through 12 higher education settings. So I was using them to kind of get that idea of what I wanted to do and what positions I should be applying for. Early on, I think one of the best benefits of being able to talk to your employers is they kind of tell you the hidden things that you don't see on the job description. So there's a lot of times that we see the application, we see the job description, but in reality, the job looks a little bit different. So I was thankful for their knowledge and things that they shared with me to be prepared for applying.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Juan. We're going to go ahead and give it to Harpreet.
Yeah, my name is Harpreet. I'm a software developer at Madera Unified School District. I got my bachelor's in computer science in 2022. And at Fresno State, I was in the CSCI club. And I was also worked as a web designer for Fresno State Student Housing. And for the question, what steps did I take to get my first job? I heard about the Career Center and I decided to reach out because that was the first time I ever did a proper job search and I wanted some guidance for it. I made an appointment with Daniel at the Career Center and he showed me how to network on LinkedIn. He showed me how to find jobs on there. He helped me with my resume. And he gave me some other tips like using Hire Fresno State to look for the people who were at the previous job fair so that they could be reached out to. And while I was, applying and stuff, another computer science graduate gave me some other tips I got to him through the networking. And he said like, oh, just keep track of where you're applying to in like a spreadsheet in some sort of organized way. Specifically for coding, go to Elite Code and start grinding coding questions so you can be prepared for the coding interviews. At first I thought I was doing really badly because nobody was getting back to me. At least that's what it felt like. But he said that because it's my first time specifically in this field, if at least like 10% of the people you apply to get back to you with an interview request, then you're doing a good job. So that made me feel better. And yeah, I just applied to jobs, reached out to people, practiced coding for like 2 months, and I ultimately got job offers from a company that was at the career fair actually, and Madeira as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Harpreet. We're going to go ahead and jump over to Rocio.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rocio Sandoval. I am from Kerman, California. I went to Fresno State. I graduated a while back. I graduated in December 2016 with a degree in sociology. After that, I ended up going into teaching, and that's where the first question comes in. So what steps did I take? I ended up subbing a lot throughout my undergrad. So I started subbing. I took my CBEST. I took the CSEC courses. I looked for jobs online through EdJoin. I also attended job fairs. I feel like attending job fairs helps a lot. Like, look for job fairs, look for things. It helps with the interview questions. It helps with just getting your basic steps. With the job fairs, I was able to meet a lot of principals, a lot of people, and basically get my foot in the door. Even with subbing as well, going to different schools, I was able to go and meet principals from other schools in Fresno Unified, Madera Unified, different school districts, sub wherever you feel, or close to home, wherever you feel, like bigger school districts, and just get your foot in the door, start meeting people, start networking. And I feel like that for me helped me a lot. Again, start right now by taking the CBEST, CSITs, if you want to go into the education field. And yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rocio. So that was our questions for steps to take when applying and obtaining your first career position. So we're going to go ahead and jump on to question number 2. So how did you go about selecting an industry or employer to work for? And we're going to go ahead and restart with Rahul.
Yes, I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. Again, my name is Raul Linares. I'm an outreach and missions representative recruiter here at Fresno Pacific University, representing the Merced campus. I earned my degree in marketing in 2020 from the School of Business at Fresno State. And I also, was part of the Higher Than 99. I also got an internship with Pepsi as well. And so my question is, how did I pick the industry or the employer I worked for? It was really, right after college, I found myself wanting to work for the state and just gaining different experience. I originally thought I was going to be a medical device outside sales rep. I ended up working for the governor's office of emergency system, doing consulting jobs up in the mountains, helping from the wildfires of 2020. And so I kind of was able to see the public sector in the way of service and really getting that different experience. So kind of stepping out of my comfort zone, but I was able to use the skills I learned in my marketing classes about analytical and being technical, and really trying to find a purpose. And having that whatever you think you may be doing after college, you may or may not do it, but you might find a great opportunity that you would want to say, you know what, let me try this job. Even if it's contractual, gives you good experience, gives you good exposure, it looks great on a resume, because I wanted to work in the public sector, but I didn't have the experience working with different agencies. And so working for the governor's office, I was able to work with Cal Fire, the Sheriff's Department, Cal Recycle, Caltrans, and even up within the state and also tribal council. But finding a purpose and trying new things. Afterwards, I found myself working at a local junior college and learning, working with students like yourselves about, career paths, and really knowing from that level of transferring to a state college and going through and using the resources. I found my purpose of really helping students. And luckily, I just kept building the resume, kept my ear open for new opportunities, still applied. And that's how I kind of found myself in higher education, because it was a purposeful job, huge very flexibility. And that's what really set it apart for me, because I did interview maybe over 20, 30, a lot of different interviews. And really the purpose for me was giving back to the community and building value in my area and through students.
Perfect. Thank you, Rahul. And we're gonna go over to Juan.
Yes, with selecting my industry, the current position I'm in as an academic counselor, I think, I mean, I started in high school kind of going into Fresno State with the idea of becoming a civil engineer. And so my major, I started off civil engineering because I had the experience with construction for a couple of years while in high school. And so that was my beginning of my higher education, thinking I was going to be a civil engineer, construction worker, or something like that. And so it wasn't until my third year, so my junior year in college, where I was able to gain a position as a student assistant. I became a peer mentor for the College of Social Sciences. And that kind of exposed me to what a counselor does, because I was working directly with the counselors, got to see their work, got to see their interactions with other students. And as I met them more, I saw myself doing that, working one-on-one with students versus going into teaching. And that's why I majored in history, thinking I could go into high school and teach history. But it wasn't until that experience where I became a peer mentor. I enjoyed the one-on-one working with students, providing resources, learning about financial aid, the circumstances that they encounter in college. And so I learned from them kind of the degrees that those counselors had earned. So in your circumstances, I would ask your professors, hey, what degree do you have? Where did you get it? And so these are the questions I would ask the counselors I was working with. And that kind of led me into my master's program here at Fresno State in student affairs and college counseling. So I learned from them. That's eventually what I pursued my master's. And that's how I made my decision based on the work experiences that I had just working with students.
Thank you so much, Juan. And we're gonna go ahead and go to Harpreet.
Yeah, as for how did I go about selecting an industry, since I was in computer science is always something that I knew I wanted to do. When I was at Fresno State, I decided to like take a wide variety of classes to expose myself to like a bunch of different industries like web design, game development, that sort of thing. So when I went about my job search, I can tell you that I wasn't being very picky. I was applying to basically every job listing that I was at least mostly qualified for. I did have a preference for government jobs because I heard that they're more stable, but any company that uses my skill set, like every company needs a website, right? So a lot of different companies from different industries that I applied to for that. I applied to game studios, architectural firms, that sort of thing. So it's really kind of a wide net.
Perfect. Thank you. And
Okay, and for me, I actually started my first year at Fresno State working for California Teaching Fellows Foundation. And for me, at first, I just, did it because it was just something that everybody pretty much did at that time. And it was just a way, for me, it was my first job. And I really started to like it. I started to love California Teaching Fellows Foundation. I loved after school program. Then I went into the morning program. And then that's when the teachers there started telling me, you should start subbing. So I took my CBES and then I started to sub, and I realized while subbing, I did a long-term subbing position, and I realized, okay, this really is for me. I really do like it. Just those experiences of, working different jobs helped me decide what I would do in the future.
perfect. Thank you so much, Rocio. And as students are coming in, I welcome you all that are coming in, and you're more than welcome to ask any of our panelists questions as we are going through. So moving forward to the next question. So what would you consider and evaluate when applying to companies? For example, position descriptions, benefits, education reimbursement, schedule flexibility, merit-based pay, health benefits, and etc. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with Rahul.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely what you have to look forward to, because this might be a job that you have as a career for a long time. So what I was looking for my position description is as a recruiter or some type of outreach that gives me the flexibility and autonomy to work with students individually. I was really looking for education reimbursement. I was looking for the additional benefits that can possibly be beneficial for myself and for my family. I have a family of 5, and so I have my wife and my 3 kids. And something that was interesting working in education is that they do free college, and so I was able to currently earn my master's in strategic organizational leadership, but also my wife has that benefit. My kids have a benefit for a bachelor's as well. So, that part of being from a private institution, I was very exciting that, I'll be able to be flexible and work. I can be creative at work and just really having the ownership of a book of business and recruiting. And I was really looking forward for the full benefits that we have, but also being part of a bigger organization or institution, because we have 5 campuses across the state, and that I have location here in Merced where I currently live at, and I don't like driving an hour to work. I like to drive around the corner. And the biggest thing that really drew me to my organization is that we are a Christian college. And that piece right there was the difference maker, because along those 2 years of really looking for a job, I'm not saying prayer's best, but it definitely helps a lot. But it was really finding that purpose and that calling. And once everything aligns to your purpose and values, it really doesn't feel like a job anymore. It really feels just like a great day at work. And that's what I was really looking forward to. It's just a place where I can use my skills that I learned at school, my analytical skills, my marketing skills, and really have a full 360 benefit for my family that's flexible at my particular career. But yeah, it's really those health benefits are always great, but just those little extra pieces that says, hey, we'll send you to school, continue education, opportunities for the future. Because if I ever want to move up to be a director in student services or anything, I have that opportunity. I have the mentors that help me get there.
Perfect. Thank you, Rahul. And Juan.
Yes, and I think for me, it was the proximity, location of where I would be working, kind of how Raul mentioned. For me, I am from Kerman, California, so commuting to Fresno State, it's kind of something I've been used to for the last 6 years. And so I kind of told myself I needed to stay in the area. So moving out was not an option for me. And so those other things like health benefits, retirement, but maybe I didn't consider that as much in the beginning, but then eventually when you start applying and you start hearing the letters, you get those notifications, hey, we can consider you for this position. That's when eventually I started deciding, hey, this is what I want. This is actually going to be helpful for me in the future. And really deciding on what job and knowing that you're going to be at that job for 1 or more years. And so for me, I knew that once I selected a job, I was going to be there for a long time. So it is really important to consider those things. It's not just a job, it's a career. And so for me, I think what I based it largely on was proximity to me and the benefits that come with it. And of course, the staff, getting to know who's in the department, who's your director, who's the vice president, things like that, who's the manager at the position. So I wanted to be aware of who I would be working with before I got into the career path. So those are all things to look out for.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Juan. And Harpreet.
Yeah, what did I consider when evaluating when to apply to companies? I was trying to cast as wide a net as possible because I figured that even if the job I first had would not be what I wanted or exactly what I wanted it to be something I could at least use to boost my resume. My goals ultimately, though, were to find a job that had good compensation, benefits, a predictable schedule, was close-ish to where I lived or was remote, and was doing something that I believe was good for people, and that had a good work-life balance.
Perfect. Thank you, Harpreet and Rocio.
Yes, so I don't think I mentioned this, but I actually live in Spain and I teach here. But next year, I just signed a contract to teach for another 2 years in the country of Kuwait. And that reminds me, looking through the contract, the number one thing for me is the health benefits. I mean, I do go see an endocrinologist every 6 months. So I had to make sure that my health came first. Is my contract is the health benefits gonna help me? Also like gonna help me with am I gonna be able to use it in the States? Am I gonna be able to use it worldwide? And also as well as the salary as well. Just seeing, okay, can I live off of the salary? Can I can they give me other benefits to this? Can they give me other benefits as well? Just all these things coming together. Just look through your contract before you sign it. Just continue. I would say the health insurance is number one because your health is what's, I mean, your whole life. I mean, I know people that don't focus on the health component of it, but I would say focus on the health component because you never know down the health insurance component because you never know down the road what will happen.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rocio. And I'm going to transition over to Selena for the.
Thank you, Ravine, and everyone. I think from this last question, what stood out to me was the benefits. I think everyone mentioned how important that is. I know when we're young, it's not one of the first things that we consider. So thank you for sharing that. We're going to continue with the rest of the questionnaire. So we have about 3 more questions. For everyone who has joined us, feel free to drop in your questions into the chat box. And I'll proceed with question 4. What lessons have you learned when negotiating a job offer? I'll start off with you, Raul.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, lessons that I learned is go in educated, do some research on a job that popped open, because chances are you're not going to have that actual interview until maybe a week or 2. And so, very similar to Harpreet, I kind of cast a pretty good net over government jobs, analyst jobs, staff service analyst positions. So I had a pretty good gauge on the salary range that was expected. But during negotiations, most of the time you'll start at the bottom part of that salary range, but it's always good to ask, what other resources are offered as an employee, other things that can compensate for the actual compensation. Coming from a private institution, it was a little different from the public, but just asking, definitely helps because you won't know unless you ask. And the worst thing they can do is say no, but it at least starts that conversation to say, I'm valuable, my resume stands for themselves, but I would like to know more on how you compensate your employees. And from that, I found out about college assistance to earn a master's for not just me and the family, but also I learned about our summers are shorter than a 5-day week. We get off like on Fridays in the summertime, like at 12 o'clock. And I'm like, wow, during the summertime, having a family, I would love to start my weekend off early and spend more time with the family. But also really knowing, the negotiation piece is that, how much do you do on pay increases? And, how much do you see, continuing to educate yourself and promote yourself to be into the next level. But yeah, just ask, know what you're getting into, and the salary range. LinkedIn's great. Looking through Glassdoor and kind of see what the national average is in different sectors gives you a pretty good range on what to expect. And then always ask for additional resources and compensation benefits that makes that particular organization that you're applying for stand out from the rest of it. And usually they know what additional services they offer, and they're proud of it, and they'll share that with you, because definitely at the negotiation piece, you're almost at the door, but they're still trying to win you as well. And so they have to bring these type of resources out, because if they know that you're a top candidate, and it's going to be a little information, you started that conversation and negotiation, and you might get more than what's expected, and again, you won't know until you ask.
Thank you so much, Raul. We'll pass it on to Juan.
Yes, and I think Raul hit that one on the dot for me as well. And very similar, I would say start early, start asking those questions as soon as you're done with interviews. That's an opportunity for you. That last question they're going to ask you, do you have any questions for us? That's one great opportunity to start it. And if it doesn't happen early on, if you do take on that position, I would say be prepared for if you're on a probation period, continue on. Do well and be prepared for maybe your first year, your second year, where you can advocate for yourself and confirm with the director or your manager, seeing if there's professional opportunities that are offered to you if that negotiation doesn't happen early on in your hiring process. Is there a union to support you if you need to advocate for yourself or for other employees in that position? So that's always an important thing. Know who's there to support you. If it's other employees, other union members that can provide you other support. And so if you are asking for a salary increase, for example, know what percentages to ask. So for me, that took a little bit of time to know what percentage I should be asking and what time frame I should be asking. So it's helpful to know the people around you, know who's there to support you with those things when it comes to negotiations.
Thank you so much, Juan. We'll hand it to Harpreet.
Yeah, this question, like, I didn't get too much experience with it because the job offer that I like really I got was the one for the school district, and all the like pay ranges and stuff are public and they follow those. So I was okay with, in that case, not needing to worry about negotiating because it was all transparent, right? So like that's like they're not like lowballing you or anything. But I think the advice that Raul and Juan gave is very salient to this. Do your research, understand that you have value. Don't just take the first offer that they give you. Start the process early. I think that's all very good.
Awesome. Definitely, we have value individually. Rocio, we'll pass it on to you.
Yes, I'm piggybacking off of Harpreet as well, since I work in the school district. Like he said, there is a salary schedule. So what I would do if it's telling you, you like 30 units, you get this amount, 30 more units than your bachelor's degree, I would say, and you don't have those 30 units, I would say take some classes online that you can find that will help you build those units up, or get your master's, or sometimes schools will say bachelor's plus master's plus this amount of units. Just know what you're looking into, or like he said, it's all transparent. So if you can see what your salary is going to be, and you want a certain salary, I would say take the time and do that. I mean, take the time and get those units done, or get that extra master's done, get something, then that way your salary is where you want it to be. If it is like the school district one.
Awesome. Thank you. So I hear getting prepared, doing your research, and don't be afraid to negotiate. Thank you for your responses. Next question. What are the lessons you learned from your first year on the job? We'll start off again with you, Raul.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my first year is actually coming up in about a month here in my institution. Just kind of get to know your coworkers, know your team. I have my recruiting and outreach admissions team. We get together once a month, and connect with them in a through Messenger, and just say hello, because these your teammates are going to be the people you work with every day. And so really getting to know them on a first name basis and letting them know how you're able to assist and just be part of the team definitely helps that out, and just let them know, I'm here to help. One thing I did learn is to kind of, the first I guess the first phase of it, the first 3 months you start, you're learning. And so you can't go in, you got to be a little bit with humility and know that you're working into a new environment, and just be open to learn. Just like as you are as a student right now, you're learning new processes and you're adapting to a culture, you're understanding the values and the mission of your organization, but also, find out what other resources are out there. Or is there continual learning? Is there a grant, like a grant teaching opportunity? Is there other opportunities within that school or organization that you can pull from for your own intrinsic rewards, and really build yourself and your skill set? And use that information that you can use at work, be creative, have fun, ask about different ways how we can possibly do things, offer ideas to your directors and see what they think. But stay consistent, go to work, be on time, and take those milestones of success as they come, and keep on building on momentum. And in my particular position, I am continuing to do outreach and just kind of trying new things, and really set myself apart, and as part of a team, but yet I'm going out there trying new things so I can bring that back to my team so we can be better overall. And so, yeah, just kind of learn who the heads of your directors are. Again, very transparent. You can, once you're in an organization, if you can kind of learn about who they are, what position they hold, and even the salary range, if that's what you possibly want to be a mentor of or work towards. And so, again, just having fun, asking questions, being humble, but also being energetic of what you do. And I think that goes a long way, because that is authentic, and being authentic to your coworkers, they will see what you're about. They'll see the values and how they align to you. And once you get that buy-in from your teammates, I think work just makes work more like fun. And you build a family atmosphere, and you support each other. And this is your teammates. These are the people you work with every day. I'm not saying you got to be friends with everybody, but just having that attitude of like, I'm here to help. What can I do? And being authentic goes a long way as well.
Yeah, and that's super important. Rahul mentioned a great question. A great answer, just because you want to make sure, a lot of students come through my door and they're like, Raveen, how can I make connections? The connections will start even at your first job. And so don't be afraid to connect with coworkers, connect with directors. Even if they don't know the answer, they'll have someone know the answers. So make sure you connect and ask them the questions. And for example, it is a learning experience. So some students are like, well, my first job has nothing to do with what I want to do. Even if, for example, you're working at Teaching Fellows and you're thinking about going into counseling, maybe you could connect with some of them. They have different experiences, and they can put you in positions that will allow you to go into that. So keep that as a reminder as well. And someone had asked in the question section, are we allowed to start posting questions already? Yes, you are. So go ahead and ask your questions as our panelists go on.
Thank you both, Raul and Raveen, for chiming in. Did we have a question right now for Raul? I'll give it a brief minute. Or we can come back to it. I'll pass it on to you, Juan, and then I'll monitor the box. Let us know if we have a question, Raveen. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So for me, what are the lessons I learned on my first year? Currently, I'm still in the process of completing my first year. And so it's been a learning experience, kind of the first 3 months. You're learning what the job entitles, and you are getting to know your coworkers. Luckily for me, I was able to connect with them way before applying. I knew who they were. I knew who I was going to be working with, and so that was a great benefit for me. But don't be afraid to ask for help. They are there. Usually they're happy to help you, and then they enjoy that because they know you're wanting to learn, you're open-minded, and it's usually a helpful and fruitful thing to do when you do need that support, and knowing that you have specific people that you can trust in your work environment. I would say also keeping track of everything that you do in your first year. It's really helpful. I keep track on a Google document. It's very simple, very basic, just bullet points of everything that I've been doing. If I go out of my comfort zone, I do a presentation, I go to a conference, those things are all in my notes. Just in case you are being evaluated, whether it's in your first year, in your second year, or however long you're there, you never know. It's something that you want to keep for your record. Stay organized, be consistent. So for me, Google Calendar is one of my best friends. It helps me to stay organized and know that I have commitments in the job. So it helps to stay organized, and especially in the first year.
Thank you, Juan, for that. And we do have a question. So the question is for the panelists, for everyone. I currently am, so we have Roberto saying, I'm currently set to graduate in May and I've received several offers. I'm afraid of committing to a job that I'll end up disliking in the future. How would you quell this anxiety? Should I avoid acting too quickly and decline an offer? So anyone is able to answer that.
I can answer a little bit on that. Yeah, when you're presented a lot of job opportunities, that's a blessing. That means you are qualified. One thing I learned, it's not always the skill set, but it's really the purpose of the person. They don't just hire just skills, they hire for what you stand for, because they can always train you. And that's one thing I kind of learned. So when you're presented on a great opportunity of multiple offers or multiple interviews, interview. Give it a shot. And if it still stands where you have multiple offers, now it's time to do some more research, and being confident on what your value is. Again, kind of looking on, what do you want to do? What does a regular day look like for you? Again, location, autonomy, how you can use your skills that you want to use. Are you able to use that? Because now the ball is in your court. You can ask these questions. You can really see and dig deeper after interviewing, and then once you're offered, you have the power to make this decision, and they know that. And so going in with that mindset, maybe ask or connect with people in LinkedIn that maybe have that particular position, ask them questions. We're all students. And so what's great about being a student, they're not going to gatekeep any information from you. They're going to understand that you're, as a student, you want to learn more, because it is a very important decision. They do want you to be part of an organization, maybe in their field. And reaching out through LinkedIn and kind of doing some messaging also helps out in your research. So that way, when it's time to make that decision, you're confident on what you look at. And again, if it's 1 or 2 years, some people may like it, some people may not. But it gives an opportunity for you in a great position.
Yeah, and if I can chime in too, if that's okay. Getting multiple job offers before you graduate is a very good thing. Having the opposite problem is much worse. I'll tell you that. I was also in this situation where I was presented with 2 different job offers, right? And at that point, it's all you got to do really is just weigh what the pros and cons are. Weigh what you really want. Like, are you willing to accept lower pay but have more vacation days? That sort of thing. Is like one job offer saying like, oh, like you get 10 vacation days and like this higher salary, right? You could actually go to them and say, hey, I got this other job offer that's offering me this many vacation days. I would go with you if you could raise them up to that much, right? So you can use the other offers as leverage to negotiate for not only for the job that you want, but for the benefits and compensation that you want too. So I think that I understand your anxiety. I was in the same position, but just know what you want and use the leverage that you have.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to go back to Harpreet. Actually, you were going to be next with the question. So just to repeat it very briefly, what are lessons you learned from your first job?
Yeah, well, I'm not here for very long. Well, I've only been here for a short amount of time is what I mean to say. But an assumption that I had going into the field and something that was confirmed by my experience is that you never stop learning. At least in computer science. Something new is always happening. There's always some new technology. There's always some new problem to solve. So the learning never stops, even when you graduate. But other than that, I've just tried to be professional, kind, honest, and reliable, and it's worked out well for me so far. Like Raul said before, be authentic.
Thank you so much. Rocio?
Yes, so basically your first year will be hard. It's probably going to be one of your toughest years. I don't know. For me, it was just really exhausting, tough and hard, but you learn as you go. I mean, every day there's a challenge, but you learn to overcome it. You learn different things every single day. You're becoming a better version of you, and that's honestly the best part of working. The best part of your first year is you make mistakes, but you learn as you go. I mean, you're going to make plenty of mistakes every single day, but there are going to be people there to help you. There are going to be people there to give you advice, and also networking and like making connections with those people, with your coworkers, helps you a lot. I mean, you learn from your coworkers. I had coworkers that have been working for 40 something years, 30 something years, and you just piggy off of them, everything that they've learned throughout their years. I mean, it's your first year, I mean, they've been there forever. So it's just pigging back off of them helps. I mean, look to the elders, look to the people that have been there with more experience, ask them questions, because they will definitely be knowledgeable and help you out.
Thank you all for that feedback. From what I hear is definitely be open to learning and stay consistent in this new job. It can be intimidating at first as you're coming on board to a new environment, but be open to learning and consistent. Along with the other tips you guys offered. Thank you. And we do have one more question and about 10 minutes left. I'd like to be respectful of your time, but the next and last question would be, what piece of advice can you give others when considering your field?
Yeah, I'll go. So my field is higher education. In higher education, there's a lot of different avenues. If you ever went to a junior college, all those pieces are opportunities. And even at the university level, there's a lot of opportunities for you to grow, cross-train yourself, and being able to continue to improve in the process in your department. If there is something that you can possibly change, be proactive and speak up. But learning new skills as you go, continue learning. Definitely that first year, you're learning a lot, but also if there's some time to hone in and get some more additional skills that's specifically for your field. Like possibly I'm doing a master's, I'm doing some grant writing classes, and just really staying, focused and energized, keeping motivating, building a strong foundation. That first year definitely starts you right, but there's more to go. And being able to have information and connecting with people, and the ability to be consistent. And so don't be content, always stay hungry for more knowledge. If there's a workshop offered, if there's some special programs that your institution is offering in your organization, go for it. Because not only you're learning to network, you're learning new skills, and it can possibly open up other doors. And it shows that you're being proactive in the knowledge gain for your organization, and you're trying to continue to be effective at work.
Thank you, Raul. We'll hand it off to Juan.
Yes, mine is very similar. I'm also in the higher education as an academic counselor here at Fresno State. So I think one advice I would give when considering something in higher ed, what are you looking for? Are you looking to work at a CSU, community college, private institution? They have different requirements, different eligibility for students. So you want to be mindful of what population you want to work with. Do you want to work with the specific counseling center, advising center, or a different organization that provides specific resources to a specific population of students? So considering all of that, I think you also want to look into whether your program or organization would be federally funded or stateside, because that all impacts kind of the benefits and some of the advances that you'll have opportunities for throughout your years in that program. But I think one big advice is, if you are considering higher education, have fun. I mean, if you're working with students, have fun. It is exhausting sometimes. I know in the K through 12, it's a little bit more with Rocio, right? But it's fun in higher education. Be open to change. So if there's something that has been established for many years, be willing to be that person to change things here. So I'm fortunate in the department where I work with, they are open to that. So right when I came on board, they let me know, hey, these are some things that have happened. These are things that occurred in the past. If you need to change anything for your knowledge, your benefit, please do so. And so that's one recommendation in higher education. Just because there's been an establishment from long ago, know that there could be change for you.
I like that. Thank you, Juan. Things are definitely changing over time. So I like how you mentioned be open and willing to be that person to change things around, especially if it's to benefit the students and the program and whatever area or company you're working for. So I'll pass it on to Harpreet.
Yeah, what advice can I give? For computer science and programming, people don't get into it just for the pay, because if you're not the type of person that that likes doing it, you can burn out pretty fast. Like I hear all the time, if you don't like bashing your head against the wall to solve a problem every day, then it's probably not the best. But there are a lot of people who actually enjoy overcoming that sort of challenge every day, and if you're one of those people, then it's very rewarding. Another piece of advice is apply to jobs even if you feel like you won't get them. I didn't think I'd get the one that I have right now. So just do your best and let them tell you no.
That's a good tip. Thank you, Harpreet. I'll pass it on to Rocio.
Yes, so I would say have an open mind. And I mean, like said, many of you work in higher education. I work in the K-12 system. So you will be dealing with a lot of minors plus parents. I know you don't deal with parents as much in the higher education. So, just be open-minded. Just everything, every day is different. Every day is a different, and no work day will be the same. There will be sometimes things that go wrong, things that, you didn't think that would go wrong that went right. So every day is different. Be open-minded. And I say, just have an open heart, think positive. When all you want to think is negative, just think positive. And, that's the advice I would give.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for all the tips and feedback you've offered. This kind of concludes our questions. For me, there was a lot of takeaways, and I think the ones that stood out the most was definitely benefits are important, the location, right? But I think it goes back to the individual in itself. What's important to that person? I did notice everybody had different things that were important. Raul mentioned benefits, right? Because you're a parent. I myself, as a parent myself, and pursuing a graduate degree, I'm thinking, okay, definitely the experience. Where do I have the passion? But then also, I can't deny that health benefits not important, right? And we talked about compensations. What other resources can compensate for the compensation in itself? So, thank you all for all your feedback. Ravine, do you have any last words that you'd like to share?
Yeah, no, just piggybacking off of Selena, you guys have amazing advice to share, just because we have students coming into our career development center, and a couple of them are joined in today, and they're stressed and they're going out in the real world and they're seniors and it's ready and it's time. And it's kind of like when, you drop off your kid at kindergartner and they're just like, no, let me back in the door. So that's how I know how a lot of you guys are feeling in that. And a lot of these panelists, they definitely agreed with you guys because they went through that. I know that Rocio says, you get tired, you get stressed out, you get burnt out, and those things happen in these positions. But you gotta know it's a learning process, and slowly by slowly, just like Rahul always mentions, like you gotta kind of think about different things, because some of you might have families and some of you might have different stuff going on. So keeping all of those things into your mind and saying, okay, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna find that job that fits me. And sometimes it might not be, like Harpreet said, it might be a stepping stone. It might not be that permanent job that you're gonna have, for your entire life. But keeping those different things in mind when going into your first job, make sure you give it your all. You don't know who's watching, and make sure you ask for advice, create those connections, because that's super important in order to grow, in order to create those stepping stones in different areas of your life. But once again, thank you to our panelists for coming. We appreciate each and every one of you. You guys have been super insightful in all of your knowledge and to share to our graduating. And any leaving thoughts for any panelists?
I'm going to interrupt for a little second. We do have one question. I don't know if there's any oppositions to this, but one of our students asked if it's okay for them to do a LinkedIn post. Are there any oppositions for them? I'm not sure what they would post, but
Yeah, no, totally fine. If you need this for your LinkedIn, you need to say that you attended a webinar for your resume. You are more than welcome to go ahead and do that. Is all of our panelists okay with that?
perfect. Thank you for the yeses. And then another student just kind of thanked you guys. They really appreciated all the tips and tricks, especially the reminder of negotiating benefits. So some good stuff. Thank you again.
Perfect. Well, we are going to end here on that note. And me and Selena, two career coaches at the Career Development Center, make sure you guys come in. If you guys need, advice, and I know that Harpreet said we're super helpful. We can help you create that resume, the cover letters, career advising, and just, for example, if you're like stuck and you don't know what's next, we are here to help you.
For sure. Thank you, Ravine. Any last words from our panelists?
Yes. Thank you so much for all the work you ladies and gentlemen do for the Career Development Center. It is the best place to go with a resume, beginning resume, an older resume that can create it into a functional resume, a lot of resources. The clothing closet's there, I believe. And everybody that is a bulldog with that ID, you can step in there and grab items. And so you don't have to pay for them. They're clean, pressed, and you can go straight into an interview with it. So use all those resources, ask those questions, find out when the next hire fair is going on. And when you do per se the hire the 99, be prepared. Go early, use the app that's on their phone, plot out what you want to try, and keep the last ones, the ones that are the best ones for you. So that way you do the small ones first and kind of get your feet wet and kind of get those jitters out. But connect with the Career Development Center. They do awesome work. You guys did great for me. And we're able to get internships, other opportunities out there. So use your resources.
Thank you.
If I can chime in, yeah, the Career Development Center is great. I'm here because of them. I had no idea what to do, and they helped me every step along the way. And it's thanks to them that I have this job, and I'm able to start my career ahead of a lot of people that would normally be in this field.
Happy to hear that. Thank you both for sharing. Any other last words?
No, thank you for all the students. I think it's a big step, just being present today. You're getting out of your comfort zone and visiting the Career Development Center, going to the resource fairs, especially for those who are freshmen and sophomores. I mean, there's no commitment. You might not want that job full time, but you're there, you're present, you're learning. And so that's another advice. Start early, go into it, expose yourself to who's out there, and learn from them.
And I will make sure I send you guys all of the emails of the panelists that came today, so that all of you guys have that if you want to ask any of them any questions about, their journeys and something that you want to learn. But other than that, I want to thank our panelists. I want to thank all the students that have attended today. And this is the end of our webinar. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Likewise.